stepping in
spectacular,
as well.
over the top. I mean, that was a full force shot to the temple. I mean, he's right now. So they wipe off his gloves, but you look at him like he's really feeling it right now. I mean, he probably has no idea where he is.
When I'm going to take your soul, and you're either going to give up or you're going to get knocked out. And unless you have that instinct, you just will never be a good fighter.
That one big shot's going to land if the guy's not throwing other shots. So I thought with less artillery in the air, less bombs in the air, that the guy would have a chance to get to later rounds.
Joe Rogan reacts with laughter while discussing Jake Paul's knockout loss alongside Anthony Joshua, calling the matchup a mismatch from the very beginning. Rogan explains that Jake is accustomed to fighting retired boxers or MMA fighters, not a true Olympic gold medalist heavyweight. He emphasizes that Joshua operates at an elite level and competes far above Jake's natural weight class. From a realistic boxing standpoint, Rogan says the result was obvious well before the opening bell, and the knockout only confirmed what most experts already expected.
Well, realistically, it's one of the craziest propositions of all time. You take a guy who just had a boxing match that looks like a sparring match with a 58-year-old Mike Tyson, and then you're going to fight one of the absolute scariest knockout artists.
Following the fight, Anthony Joshua delivered a blunt post-fight message, stating that the knockout actually spared Jake Paul from further harm. Joshua explained that had the bout continued, he would have systematically broken Jake down both mentally and physically. According to Joshua, the early stoppage prevented far more damage and likely protected Jake from a much harsher outcome inside the ring.
And when you understand the psychological warfare, I did say to you that, Jake, what's going to happen? I'm going to see a time when I'm going to take your soul, and you're either going to give up or you're going to get knocked out. And unless you have that instinct,
Anthony Joshua's association with what many labeled a circus-style fight against Jake Paul immediately split opinions across the boxing world. For many observers, the matchup felt more like a spectacle than a legitimate sporting contest, with the massive differences in size, experience, and pedigree impossible to overlook. Joshua is a two-time heavyweight champion and Olympic gold medalist, while Jake Paul is still in the learning phase of his boxing career. Critics argue that the fight was designed for attention and numbers rather than competition. Simon Jordan strongly echoed this view after Joshua broke Jake's jaw with a knockout, calling the event harmful to boxing's credibility.
I heard the question being posed to Joshua, will he now fight Fury? And then my first thought was, after what I've seen, who cares? After that, who cares if Joshua fights Fury? I like Anthony Joshua immensely, Spencer. Any exchanges I've had with him, I think he comes across terrifically well. But I fail to see where it's taken us, where it's taken him, other than hugely increasing his bank balance. You know, I really fail to see what this has done.
Well, it's done nothing, but he was going to fight in November, like I said, and he's just gone in there against Jake Paul. What has it done for his legacy? Absolutely zero. But it was, he's earned a lot of money doing that. And he's going to go again, and he's going to fight possibly February, March, and then there's that Tyson Fury fight that's looming that could happen in September, whether Tyson Fury decides to come out of retirement or not come out of retirement. For Anthony Joshua, he's earned a hell of a lot of money. This is prize fighting, and that's what it's all about. And that's what
Jordan argued that fights like this blur the boundary between real sport and entertainment, pulling focus away from meaningful competition. He emphasized that Anthony Joshua has already secured generational wealth and a lasting legacy, meaning he has no need for novelty matchups. Jordan added that even if a mega fight with Tyson Fury never materializes, Joshua's financial security makes the idea of walking away from boxing entirely far from unrealistic.
6 rounds to get Paul out of there. Reputationally, how does it leave AJ?
Well, thankfully it didn't go to points, because I think that would have been a disaster for Anthony Joshua. I think that he needed to get the job done inside the distance, and he done it. Look, he could have done it at any given point. I think that he could have cut the ring off whenever he wanted to and got Jake Paul out of there. He took his time on that. He allowed Jake Paul to run around like a rabbit and throw the occasional shot from time to time. And I think he only landed one clean punch, didn't he, Anthony Joshua? And that was the one that broke his jaw in 2 places.
But, I mean, you said, did you not, to us in this very studio the other day, he's got to get him out of there in round 1.
I did.
Otherwise, what are we seeing?
Exactly that. And I think what we saw there was a little bit of entertainment. And that was pretty much it, but not not entertainment that many people enjoyed, if I'm honest. I think that people wanted to see.
Joe Rogan showered praise on Anthony Joshua by highlighting his rare combination of speed, athleticism, and knockout power. Rogan explained that Joshua moves with the fluidity of a much smaller fighter while possessing fight-ending power in a single punch. He described Joshua as a nightmare opponent due to his ability to close distance quickly and end exchanges instantly. According to Rogan, these qualities make it unrealistic for crossover fighters to compete with Joshua at any serious professional level.
Giant Olympic gold medalist heavyweight. I mean, Anthony Joshua is fucking
Here's the
terrifying.
thing that nightmares are made of.
And he's got that one punch nuclear power. One punch.
Adam Booth offered a brutally honest assessment, noting that Jake Paul did manage to make Anthony Joshua miss on several occasions, which he considered noteworthy. Booth explained that Jake's movement and positioning showed discipline and improvement, forcing Joshua to reset rather than land freely. While Booth made it clear that this did not mean Jake was winning the fight, he acknowledged that creating hesitation in an elite heavyweight is significant. Continuing his breakdown, Booth emphasized that making a fighter like Joshua miss is not accidental. It requires preparation, timing, and confidence. He credited Jake's footwork and composure under pressure, while also stressing that these moments did not alter the overall reality of the fight.
And Jake Paul shared a ring. Your takeaways from the 6 rounds that we saw, presuming you watched?
I was impressed with Jake Paul. I thought that, following on from what we're saying, right? A few years ago, he was on Disney as a kid, acting up, and has decided to become a professional fighter. That takes balls, but he's obviously striving to be as good as he can be. You can see that in the way that he moves, the way that he is developed in how he's punching and performing. But to make a 2-time world heavyweight champion that's still live, you know, AJ's still got something about him, to make him miss in such an accomplished manner. All right, so at times he was jumping out and running around, but there were times when he was well in range and still making AJ unable to land a clean, solid shot. He deserves a lot of respect for that. And then the shot that actually finished the fight, that broke his jaw quite badly, didn't put him out. That shot's put that shot he threw with serious intention has put a lot of professional heavyweights to sleep. He didn't go to sleep. He actually finished on his knees, didn't he? Laughing and spitting blood out of his mouth. So, like they say, like it's a special type of crazy and a special type of brave to do it. But I actually hats off to him because he showed that he's developing some accomplished little skills in there to look after himself. The size difference is always going to fatigue him.
I know everyone will come with the idea that, oh, well, AJ should just go in there 1 round and smash him to bits, and that should be it was a big ring, right? Perhaps he could have cut the ring off a bit better, but would I be right in saying that regardless of skill level, if you forget about that with the 2 for a second, if someone is on the back foot and on their bike and doing what Jake was doing, it's difficult, no matter who you are, no matter the kind of separation in skill level.
It's a big ring, and you've either got to run at him and look like a novice yourself, or...
After the fight, attention shifted to Logan Paul, who appeared to intimidate Anthony Joshua while speaking about revenge for his brother. Logan reportedly expressed interest in fighting Joshua, but analysts immediately dismissed the idea as an even greater mismatch than Jake's bout. They pointed out that Jake trains full-time with professional boxing coaches, while Logan lacks the same level of dedication and technical development. Many argued that a Logan versus Joshua fight would move beyond spectacle into outright farce. Analysts also noted that despite losing, Jake showed he belongs at a basic professional boxing level, whereas Logan is viewed as far less polished and far less serious. The consensus was that such a fight would offer no competitive value and would only intensify criticism of boxing's direction.
Than Jake Paul. You know what I mean? Because at least Jake Paul has taken boxing or has trained with real boxing trainers and real boxes. Whereas Logan Paul, you know, he did that exhibition with Floyd, and Floyd's a little guy. Not saying a little guy can't thump, because Floyd really gave him some 2 pieces with no sides, right? But at the same time, you take his friend, Floyd's friend, Anthony Joshua, and get hit by him and see what happens. The same thing. Probably worse, because I think Logan, you know, he's a little taller than Jake. And because he's a little taller than Jake, he may think he's a little stronger than Jake. Which I don't know which one's true or not. I don't think it makes a difference. But because he may feel that way, he may want to go in there and try to bang it out with AJ. And if that happens, it's going to be a lot quicker. See, that 6 rounds it took AJ to finally catch Jake It took that way because Jake was on that bicycle, moving, being elusive, trying to come in and then come out. He tried to do a very poor man's Alexander Usyk, right? And it didn't work for him. Logan ain't going to do that. Logan's going to come in throwing punches and bunches like he did with Floyd, trying to get him in there and, do all this stuff. And what's going to happen as soon as AJ lines him up, sets his punch, he's going to hit Jake and he's going to break Jake down.